The world of four dimensions. Time is a fourth dimension. The concept of the fourth dimension is usually surrounded by mystery and suspicion. How dare we, creatures of length, height, and width, speak of four dimensional space? Is it possible, by using all three dimensional intelligence, to imagine a superspace of four dimensions? And what would a four dimensional cube or sphere look like? When we say imagine a giant dragon with a long scale tail and flames streaming from its nostrils, or a super airliner with a swimming pool and a couple of tennis courts on its wings, you are actually drawing a mental picture of the way it would look were it to appear suddenly in front of you, and you draw that picture against the background of the familiar three-dimensional space in which all ordinary objects, including yourself, are located. If this is the meaning of the word imagine, then it is just as impossible to imagine a four-dimensional figure against the background of ordinary three-dimensional space, as it is impossible to squeeze a three-dimensional body into a plane. But wait a moment, we do, in a certain sense, squeeze three-dimensional bodies into a plane by drawing a picture of them. In all these cases, however, we do not, of course, use a hydraulic press or any other physical force to do the job, but apply the method known as geometrical projection or shadow building. The difference between the two ways of squeezing a body, for instance that of a horse, into a plane can be at once understood by looking at figure 24. By the way of analogy, we can now say that although it is not possible to squeeze a four-dimensional body into a three-dimensional space without some parts sticking out, one can speak of the projections of various four-dimensional figures in our space of only three dimensions. But one must remember that just as the plane projections of three-dimensional bodies are two-dimensional or plane figures, as so the projections of four-dimensional superbodies in our ordinary space will be represented by super space figures. To make the matter clearer, let us think how the two-dimensional shadow creatures living on the surface would conceive the idea of three-dimensional cube. We can easily imagine that since being a superior three-dimensional beings, we can look from above, that is from the third dimension, on the world of two dimensions. The only way to squeeze a cube into a plane is to project it on that plane in the way shown in figure. Watching such a projection and various other projections can be obtained by rotation of the original cube. Our two-dimensional friends will be able at least to form an idea about the properties of the mysterious figure called a three-dimensional cube. They will not be able to jump out of the surface and visualize the way we do, but by merely watching the projection, they would be able to say, for example, that the cube has 8 vertices and 12 edges. Now look at figure 26 and you will find exactly the same situation as the poor two-dimensional shadow creatures inspecting the projection of an ordinary cube on their surface. In fact, the strangely complicated structure that is being examined with such a surprise by the members of the family is actually the projection of four-dimensional supercube in our ordinary 3D dimensional space. The world of four dimensions. Time is a fourth dimension. The concept of the fourth dimension is usually surrounded by mystery and suspicion. How dare we, creatures of length, height, and width, speak of four dimensional space? Is it possible, by using all three dimensional intelligence, to imagine a superspace of four dimensions? And what would a four dimensional cube or sphere look like? When we say imagine a giant dragon with a long scale tail and flames streaming from its nostrils, or a super airliner with a swimming pool and a couple of tiny